This is the call to order for the March 26, 2026 meeting of the Santa Clara County Planning Commission. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Chairperson Rouser,
Present.
Commissioner Levy,
Present.
Commissioner Hederly is absent, Commissioner Belska,
Here.
forgive me on this one, Commissioner O'Donoghue,
Here.
and Commissioner Cohen.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Please stand if you are able to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. My name is Mark Rouser, and I'm the chair of the Planning Commission. On behalf of the Commission, welcome to today's meeting. At this time, please turn off or mute all electronic devices that may interrupt the meeting. The first item on the agenda is public comment. This item is reserved for persons who wish to address the Commission on any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Commission that is not on this agenda. The law does not permit Commission action or extended discussion of any item not on the agenda except under special circumstances. Members of the public who wish to address the Commission on a non-agendized item should request to speak at this time by giving a request to speak form to the Deputy Clerk if you're in the chambers, or by using the raised hand icon if attending virtually. Do we have any?
I do not have any requests to speak.
Okay. Number 4, the consent calendar. And/or changes to the Commission agenda. Do we have any wishes to change or take anything off of the consent calendar? If not, do we have a motion to accept the consent calendar?
Aye.
Or approve it?
I move
Commissioner
to accept.
Belska, approved.
Second.
And Commissioner Levy, seconds. Any discussion? And if not, we'll take a vote.
Chairperson Rouser,
I approve.
Commissioner Levy,
Aye.
Commissioner Belska,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Donoghue,
Yes.
and Commissioner Cohen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, moving right along. Number 5, receive report from Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority relating to the Santa Clara Valley Green Print.
Testing. Oh, there we go. Thank you. All right. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Lena Drape, and I'm pleased to be here tonight on behalf of the Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority. I'm our Conservation Policy Specialist, and I'm joined virtually by my colleague Jennifer Peth, Senior Open Space Planner, and in person, Mark Landgraf, Assistant General Manager. So I will be kicking our presentation off with an overview of our agency, what we do, and how we do it. I will then pass it over to Jennifer to dive deeper into what drives our work, including the Santa Clara Valley Green Print, and followed by exciting updates from Coyote Valley and our Coyote Valley Conservation Areas Master Plan. And we will be happy to take questions at the end. So the Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority was created in 1993 by the state legislature at the urging of community leaders who saw the importance of protecting the valley's remaining natural and working lands. Our mission is to conserve the natural environment, support agriculture, and connect people to nature by protecting open spaces, natural areas, and working farms and ranches for future generations. We are a public, independent special district with nearly 70 staff, and our jurisdiction includes the cities of Campbell, Milpitas, Morgan Hill, San Jose, and Santa Clara, and the unincorporated areas of Santa Clara County. But our preserves, shown in dark green on the map, are open to all. The authority is funded through a modest parcel tax known as Measure Q, passed in 2014, and then Measure T, which removed the sunset in 2020. That generates approximately $12 million per year, as well as a benefit assessment referred to as District 1 that generates approximately $4 million per year in various grants and gifts for a total revenue of about $12 million per year. This diagram shows our Measure Q and Measure T expenditures between 2015 to 2024, which again is just a subset of our overall funding. But for every dollar of local taxpayer funding collected, the authority has leveraged matching funds from state, federal, and private sources to implement projects. And for every $1 received via Measure Q and T, we bring in more than $2 in outside funding. So to date, overall, the authority has brought in more than $180 million in outside funds to leverage these tax dollars. The authority operates 4 open space preserves that are open to the public 365 days a year and provide over 33 miles of trails for hiking, mountain biking, and horseback riding. We host year-round educational outdoor experiences, including docent hikes, and have a robust volunteer program. And we have 2 active grant programs that provide funds for urban projects, through which we have distributed over $15 million. This includes the Urban Grant Program, which is open to public agencies, schools, and nonprofits, and a 20% funding program that sets aside 20% of the authority's capital funds annually for urban open space projects. Since 1993, we've protected over 30,000 acres of open space, natural areas, watersheds, and wildlife habitat. And we work collaboratively with willing landowners and can purchase a property outright, accept donations of land, or place a conservation or agricultural easement on a property. We see our investments in nature and nature-based solutions as a critical piece of protecting local communities. And the photo on the right is from January 2023, looking south over the Laguna Seca wetland in North Coyote Valley, demonstrating how this land naturally collects and stores rainwater, recharging groundwater and decreasing the risk of upstream flooding in San Jose. The lands that we protect protect us, and by providing a buffer to extreme weather impacts such as wildfire, flood, and drought. In 2017, the Coyote Creek flood caused more than $100 million in damage to the city of San Jose and would have been much worse had Coyote Valley not captured significant stormwaters. In 2020, the CZU and SCU lightning complex fires burned at unprecedented intensity, and again, these buffer lands protected our urban areas. So all that to say, these lands play a critical role in our community-wide climate resilience. And with that, I will pass it over to Jennifer. One moment, Jennifer. We've got to get your audio coming in. Not quite one moment.
One moment while I check with the technical support. Jennifer, if you could try again, please.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, great. Good evening, commissioners. And thanks so much, Lena. Jennifer Peth, Senior Open Space Planner here. So I'll talk a little bit more about what guides our work in support of our mission. And some of the reports that you see here that I'll call attention to include the Santa Clara Valley Agricultural Plan, published in 2018, that was developed in close partnership with the county. We continue to work with the county today in support of implementation of the recommendations that came out of the Ag Plan, including in Coyote Valley. The Santa Clara Valley Green Print that you see, published in 2014, identified the top 10 conservation priority areas within the Open Space Authority's jurisdiction, again, including Coyote Valley. And this was supported in 2017 by the publication of the Coyote Valley Landscape Linkage, which demonstrated the irreplaceable value of Coyote Valley as a wildlife corridor for our area. So why is Coyote Valley important? Located between San Jose to the north and Morgan Hill to the south, Coyote Valley is situated at the narrowest point between the Santa Cruz Mountains to the west and the Diablo Range to the east. So this makes the valley a critical landscape linkage that allows wildlife to move between over 1.1 million acres of core habitat in those surrounding mountain ranges and maintaining healthy animal populations. So what you see in the map there is the light green highlights those open habitat areas, and the white arrow indicating Coyote Valley as the linkage between those two mountain ranges. So thanks to a groundswell of community support and advocacy, huge steps have been taken to conserve this landscape for public benefit. In 2019, through the leadership of California State Assembly member Clara, the Coyote Valley Conservation Program Area was established by the state legislature via AB Assembly Bill 948. And then the black outline that you see in the map on the left there, it's showing the over 7,000 acre area that encompasses the entirety of Coyote Valley from San Jose to Morgan Hill and from ridge to ridge. So AB 948 officially designates this area as a landscape of statewide significance and authorizes the Open Space Authority to administer the Coyote Valley Conservation Program. So in practice, the Open Space Authority reviews development proposals within Coyote Valley from the county and the two cities. So shortly thereafter, again in 2019, 937 acres in North Coyote Valley, which was land previously slated for industrial development, were permanently protected. So this was through a historic public-private partnership with the Open Space Authority, Peninsula Open Space Trust, or POST, and the City of San Jose. This purchase included $46 million from San Jose's Measure T infrastructure bond towards the acquisition of open space in Coyote Valley for the purpose of reducing risk and impact of flooding and water resource contamination. In 2021, the San Jose General Plan update rezones North Coyote Valley from industrial use to agriculture and open space use, and Santa Clara County strengthens protections for Mid and South Valley with the amendment to preserve, with the Coyote Valley Climate Overlay Zoning Amendment to preserve natural resources and wildlife connectivity. And then I'll just highlight, in 2022, Coyote Valley was featured on the cover of the report that you see here, the state's guiding document for 30 by 30, the statewide plan to protect 30% of the state's important lands and coastal waters by 2030. So to date, over $130 million of public and private funds from local, state, and federal sources have been invested in Coyote Valley for conservation and climate resilience. And we're happy to share that last week, a collaboration between the Open Space Authority, PG&E, and LS Power Grid California resulted in the CPUC approving a request to co-locate a new high voltage converter station on PG&E's Metcalf substation property in Coyote Valley. So co-locating the new energy infrastructure at the substation will eliminate the need for LS Power Grid California to build it at the originally proposed site, a 14-acre orchard in Coyote Valley between Metcalf Road and Bailey Avenue near Coyote Creek, which is in one of the few safe wildlife corridors in the valley. So just a little bit about the open space advocacy. Okay, so I'll talk now a little more about our work underway in Coyote Valley as part of the Coyote Valley Conservation Area's Master Plan, or referred to as the acronym of CVCAMP, and about that those protected properties in Coyote Valley. So to get us started, I'd like to use this view looking west over Coyote Valley, showing its remarkable setting, located again between that narrowest point between the Santa Cruz Mountains that you see in the background and the Diablo Range in the foreground. You see Highway 101 in the foreground, followed by Coyote Creek, and then Monterey Road and the Union Pacific Rail Line, currently used by Amtrak and Caltrain, which will carry high-speed rail in the future. Beyond that, again, running north to south is Santa Teresa Boulevard and Fisher Creek, with Bailey Avenue running east to west through the project area. The valley floor, it's home to rare habitat and natural features like the historic Laguna Seca that you see in the right-hand side of your screen in North Coyote Valley. This is one of the largest freshwater marshes in the South Bay, and the Fisher Creek floodplain, which captures stormwater and contributes to groundwater recharge. There are prime farmlands in Coyote Valley, carrying on Santa Clara Valley's rich cultural heritage. And beautiful open spaces offering amazing opportunities for people from the surrounding urban areas to connect with nature. So Coyote Valley has multiple benefits, and it's increasingly recognized for that natural infrastructure it provides both people and wildlife. Go to the next slide. Thanks. So this image is showing the historic ecology of Coyote Valley, or what it would have looked like prior to European colonization. You'll notice the large freshwater marsh on the left side of the screen, where we find the remnants of Laguna Seca today in modern-day North Coyote Valley. Spreading out from there would have been a wet meadow and oak woodland and oak savanna. And you'll notice what's missing is Fisher Creek. So this was a man-made ditch or channel to drain water out of Coyote Valley into Coyote Creek as quickly as possible. This was put in 1916. We can't return exactly to these historic conditions, but we can use these as inspiration for the design of future restoration. So by the 1940s, we see the transformation of Coyote Valley to agriculture. You can see the orchards and farm fields in the black and white image on the left. On the right, you see Coyote Valley today. And for valley floor property in the Bay Area, it has remained surprisingly undeveloped. You see the IBM campus on the left-hand side of the image, but otherwise agricultural fields, including those areas used for grazing and hay production, dominate the landscape today. And what you see in the map here are the properties shown in yellow, which comprise the protected properties or project area for CV Camp, which have been acquired with support from the Peninsula Open Space Trust and City of San Jose. And the City of San Jose's jurisdiction extends to about the top third of the project area, and the remainder is an unincorporated county. The properties shown in green are other surrounding open space, parks and open space, a number of which are county parks, including Coyote Creek Parkway in the foreground, Santa Teresa County Park, and Calero County Park. The county has also contributed to acquisitions within the project area and to CV Camp as a close partner in Coyote Valley through the planning of regional trails informed by the county-wide Trails Master Plan, which I'll come back to in just a few slides. And then planning for roadway improvements and supporting agriculture in the region, as I mentioned. Coyote Valley, as I mentioned, is a multi-benefit landscape. So this slide just shows how the two consultant teams that we're working with have been tackling the goals for CV Camp. So on the right-hand side of the screen, you see the team led by H.T. Harvey, focusing on wildlife and habitat, water resources, and climate adaptation. On the left-hand side of the screen, the team led by CMG Landscape Architecture. They're looking at public access, interpretation, and cultural heritage, and local economy. As we know, connecting people with nature and agriculture provides economic benefits, and ways to engage the public throughout the planning process and into the future to steward this landscape. These teams come together around the goals of local agriculture and grazing, transportation and street design, and road ecology, and of course in looking holistically at Coyote Valley in the context of the conserved properties in the surrounding landscape. So this slide is showing the background of our work as part of CV Camp, beginning with the existing conditions, surveys, and assessments. We shared out the results of this work with the public in 2024 and asked for feedback on top goals and priorities of the planning process and about their experiences in Coyote Valley. This led to opportunities and constraints analyses, which were completed last year and helped to inform the current phase of conceptual alternatives development. Here we see the timeline of the CV Camp project, where we've been, as I just described, and where we're going. You can see here in early 2026, we're seeking public input on the plan's conceptual alternatives to help guide the development of a preferred concept plan, followed by plan document development and environmental review in 2027 and 28. So I'll now briefly share the conceptual alternatives under consideration for restoration, public access, and agriculture, beginning with restoration. So this slide shows existing conditions in Coyote Valley in terms of habitat types. You see a lot of grassland and agricultural fields with thin strips of riparian vegetation along Fisher Creek. Next slide. This slide shows the restoration actions that are currently under consideration, ranging from limited to extensive grading options. So grading is an indicator of overall project cost and the extent of changes on the landscape. These big moves are primarily around Fisher Creek and Laguna Seca, rerouting Fisher Creek to the west, which is the actual low point in the valley where the water wants to go, and the amount of ponding and extent of wetlands in Laguna Seca, as well as the function of an existing dam that was installed in 2006 in anticipation of future development. And all these materials, I'm going through this very quickly, but all these materials are available online for anyone who wants to take a closer look. All right, so one of the exciting things about CV Camp from a public access standpoint is that by creating a trail network in Coyote Valley, we can close some significant gaps in the larger regional trail network. So the CV Camp team is currently working on alignments for 2 regional trail segments, both a north-south trail that would run through the CV Camp properties, ultimately connecting Santa Teresa County Park in the north with the existing Open Space Authority's Coyote Valley Open Space Preserve to the south. An east-west trail, which would serve as part of the Bay Area Ridge Trail and connect the CV Camp properties to Coyote Creek Parkway and eventually Minnetonka Coyote Ridge. And so these trails are represented by the dashed orange line. And then you see as well proposed bike roadway improvements in the dashed green line and exciting transit to trail opportunities with the connecting to the VTA bus route 68 bus stops that run along Santa Teresa Boulevard. We're working with both county parks and county roads and airports through the planning of these trail and roadway improvements, as I mentioned. Okay, we'll switch gears and talk about the ideas for a new open space destination that these trails will connect to. So this slide is just showing the location of 4 public access and agricultural destinations that are being considered through CV Camp. You have Laguna Seca overlook in the south. This would be a place to watch that restoration of the wetland unfold over time. At the Hillview Hub at the southwest corner of Santa Teresa and Bailey, offering 360-degree views of Coyote Valley as you traverse up a hill rising over the valley. We have site number 3, the Coyote Valley Field Station, adjacent to our existing Coyote Valley Open Space Preserve that could provide a welcome and education center, opportunities for nature play, restoration learning gardens, and then the agricultural gateway number 4, which could connect, provide a farm stand, connect people to Coyote Valley's agricultural heritage future. And so just to highlight here, we are currently seeking public feedback on these conceptual design alternatives. We're going to be taking a CV Camp exhibit around to a number of locations in and around Coyote Valley, and we're also seeking input via a public survey that can be found online at openspaceauthority.org/CVCamp. And again, recapping the timeline, I'll just say that this is work underway and ahead of us with the goal of completing the plan in 27-28. And we'll end there. I'm happy to take any questions on CV Camp. You can email us at cvcamp@openspaceauthority.org or open the floor to any questions broader about the Open Space Authority. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Commissioner Belska.
Yes, thank you for that. Jennifer, I have a question about the 3 proposals. What are the advantages of one over another? Because, for me, just looking at the maps, they all more or less look the same. So what are sort of like cons I understand, it goes up in cost the more grading you do, but what are the advantages? Like, what do we gain by going to the more expensive plan?
Yeah, so this is, you're talking about the restoration, the 3 alternatives for restoration. Yeah, and so there are things like, we could increase the sinuosity of Fisher Creek in place in some of the more limited or moderate grading options, or increasing the amount of riparian habitat by moving Fisher Creek, increasing its length, expanding that riparian habitat out. We can expand the size of the wetland in Laguna Seca. There are some complicated interactions, as I mentioned, with the dam in Laguna Seca, so more altering that structure more to, again, increase the complexity of ponding and wetlands in Laguna Seca, and it also affects the way that there are 2 culverts under Santa Teresa Boulevard. Those would function for wildlife connectivity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Levy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellent job, Lena and Jennifer. It was a very good presentation. And you've done an outstanding job of protecting Coyote Valley and leveraging your money so you've got 2 to 3 times the purchasing value than the money you've received, the $12 million of your budget. Do you see changes in the political or fiscal landscape that's going to make it more difficult to leverage your money in the future? It's for you, Mark.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, good evening, commissioners and staff. Mark Landgraf, Assistant General Manager at the Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority. I'm here as eye candy, but also to help provide some of those answers to questions as needed. So, yeah, very good question, a very complicated answer to that question. We do see the pullback in federal funding as a factor, not so much in funding that we typically receive directly, because we only have 2 relatively small outstanding grants currently from the federal government. Those seem to be moving forward. We generally get outside funding from the state of California, from the county of Santa Clara, and other local sources, as you heard before. However, it does affect our agricultural community significantly, and so we're doing our best to step up a little bit more to support our ag community, because it is part of our central mission. And in fact, we've recently hired an agricultural specialist to develop a farm program vision for our agency and to understand exactly how we can help long-term ag viability. So that's a major factor here. Otherwise, costs do keep rising, and our revenue is flat over time. The parcel tax and benefit assessment that Lena mentioned earlier, those are flat. So there is a need for additional revenue, and for the time being, we do our best to leverage those outside funds, as mentioned.
Well, that was where I was going next, actually, is that you have $12 million a year, and that's not increasing based on the current parcel tax. And the state has less money than it's had, the county has less money than it's had, the city has less money than it's had, so there's fiscal constraints elsewhere. My understanding is there's a parcel tax on the June ballot. Is that true? And can you tell us about that?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I can go ahead answer that one too. So yes, there is a parcel tax measure on the June ballot known as Measure D that our board of directors was recently required to place on the ballot. It's a citizens initiative that gathered signatures based on work and funding from a private group. And then those citizens' signatures, the voter signatures, were turned in to the Open Space Authority, in turn to the Registrar of Voters. They certified the signatures, and then our role was to simply place it on the ballot, that citizens initiative. It's a parcel tax that would charge 2 cents per building square foot on a given parcel, which for an average sized home is about $32. And then, buildings that have a very large footprint on a given parcel, they would pay more, but only up to a cap of $7,500. That would presumably bring in around $17 million a year. And as growth continues to take place in our jurisdiction, hopefully in the infill areas, not as sprawl, then that would increase the building square footage and presumably give us a little bit more funding over time. So that's the information about the Citizens Initiative. Of course, as a government employee, I can't advocate for or against, but since you asked the question,
I understand, but we need to be very careful on these grounds.
Yeah.
Right, Elizabeth? Okay. So as part of the CV camp, I assume there's a property acquisition component to it, identifying the critical properties that are needed in order to complete the habitat corridor. Is that true? Have we seen? Do you have? And I know you probably can't talk about it because the specific parcels, again. But there are parcels being targeted for the habitat corridor, correct?
So I can take that one, but Jennifer, please add if you have further information.
Yeah, I'm happy to say, so the habitat restoration alternatives that I believe are still up on the screen here, those are showing all properties that are all protected. So we can complete the restoration vision. Again, that's the alternatives that are proposed with the land that is that has been acquired.
Great.
And I can just add, as parcels are additionally acquired in Coyote Valley, on the valley floor, then those would get rolled into the master planning as well.
Good, thank you. And one last question, and we didn't hear much about the high-speed rail plan, which I assume that you're working in concert with the High-Speed Rail Authority on this, particularly on the creation of habitat passageways under around the high-speed rail as far N101 and Monterey Highway. Is that right? So those type of corridors are going to be included, those pathways across those dangerous intersections or dangerous thoroughfares?
Yes, we did work with the high-speed rail to identify some of those undercrossing locations to increase the permeability of the rail line as well as Monterey Road. We know that Monterey Road is more dangerous than Highway 101 for animals passing through Coyote Valley. The Peninsula Open Space Trust is leading currently 2 projects to install wildlife undercrossings near Fisher Creek under Monterey Road, near the connection of Fisher Creek and Coyote Creek. And then there are, and as well as making improvements to 101, including through fencing and doing research on what additional improvements can be made to existing culverts. But again, animals, development pressure and this constrained landscape. Well, I said the restoration vision as proposed as possible, but there are it will be important to continue making this improvements to connectivity for wildlife through the valley beyond the restoration on the properties, protected properties.
Thank you, and hopefully some of that funding will be coming from high-speed rail, or because I understand that funding is a challenge, and so thank you.
I had a couple of questions, and then we'll open it up to the public also, so if people want to talk, they can either fill out a card or raise their hand online. Just on that theme of the habitat corridor, is it the intention to have literally open space, have all the land allocated in a specific area where wildlife can go from Santa Cruz Mountains to the Diablo area, and that's the goal essentially?
What I'll say is on you can see in the map here and the map showing the 2 mountain ranges, but as is, a lot of the parks, parks and open space and private property, some of the large ranches function as wildlife corridors. So, wildlife are moving through, you see here, Santa Teresa County Park, Calero County Park, up into the Diablo Range. So I would say it's not that that the Open Space Authority needs to hold all of the land that comprises the landscape linkage. That corridor is going to extend out beyond that. But it is what we're zeroing in on is this 1.25 mile ideal width for a wildlife corridor, and we have just barely that through Coyote Valley. So it's maintaining what we have, going from there.
Yeah, and if I might add, in the Santa Cruz Mountains and Diablo Range combined, there are about 1 million acres of core habitat, and about half of that, about 500,000 acres, are permanently protected. So there is already a good amount of protected habitat in the 2 ranges. It's really this critical pinch point where if that connection in Coyote Valley were severed, then especially in the Santa Cruz Mountains, which is a much smaller mountain range, the genetic diversity of especially large mammals would decline, and they would eventually die out. So it's really, that's why we're so focused on Coyote Valley, is that we don't want that connection to be severed. In fact, we want to enhance the connectivity through it.
So what type of large animals are we talking about that we would want to get the diversity?
Mountain lions, bobcats, badger. We've recently done extensive study on badger habitat in the area. There are tule elk in the Diablo Range, though we don't necessarily foresee them traveling through Coyote Valley. And then there are a lot of other species that go along with those large, what we call umbrella species.
Okay. This is completely unrelated, but just reading about the land bridge in another jurisdiction where they're spending 120 million, and in the article they said they could reintroduce species from one side to the other for $10,000 a piece. It was just like, at what point is it so hard trying to make it so that the wildlife are protected in their travels? Obviously, you know, having a major highway, you know, we don't have any plans for a land bridge or anything like that. And most of us kind of hope high-speed rail never happens. But those are still some major areas they would have to cross, and it would be pretty onerous for the wildlife. You know, I don't know how much they like to go under tunnels under 101, but to me, I think the goal is great, but it seems not too realistic that badgers would just go for a mile and a half or I don't know how far that is, but go from one range to the other. It may be easier for us to move a couple of them around.
Commissioner Browser. Can I speak to that?
Yeah.
There was a great video that was being shown on the county parks website of a coyote walking through an underpass. I think it was going under Monterey High Road. And he waited for a minute, turned around, and his friend, the badger, came out right behind him because they actually hunt in pairs. The badger forces the ground animals out of the hole, and the coyote grabs them. And so the badgers do use that. Also, and this sort of leading question for our Open Space Authority folks, and that how important is this corridor between the two ranges with the threat of climate change?
Yeah, Jennifer, you want to go ahead?
Well, I'll just mention that just on the, just briefly that, for mountain lions, we're already starting to see the impacts of genetic isolation in the Santa Cruz Mountains. It's showing up in things like kinked tails, showing signs of inbreeding. But yeah, exactly. Climate change will reduce the area of area that is refuge for habitat, and so open space will become more important than ever. Access to water resources and cover for as well as live in and move through habitat. If you wanted to add on that, Mark.
Yeah, thank you. And I can add to that as well that part of the beauty of protecting Coyote Valley here is that there's so many benefits to nature and to our human communities in Coyote Valley. It's a multi-benefit landscape that provides that wildlife connectivity that is increasingly important, as Jennifer indicated, with climate change, so that animals have the ability to move to more hospitable regions. But it's also a landscape that provides that natural infrastructure where we can provide buffers to wildfire and flood and drought and extreme heat for our nearby urban communities. So it's really providing many functions for that pretty modest investment. I know 120 million is a lot of money, but considering the benefits to the community that come from it and what might come from hard infrastructure, it is very cost effective over time.
I had another question. Laguna Seca, I always think of the racetrack. Is the name in any way related, or they just happen to like the same name?
Laguna Seca, the area was part of the Rancho Laguna Seca from the 1800s, and so the Laguna Seca was designated back in the 1800s as part of that rancho.
Okay, but it's not related to that other area down south by Monterey then?
No,
I think just yep.
if my understanding is correct, it just translates to dry lagoon
Got it,
from the
okay.
Spanish.
So that just happened to have the same. And then, I don't know much of the history of IBM, but are we, do we just start a rumor that we're trying to take this back to historic, and so we're just going to bulldoze the place, or is that even feasible?
So let me let me take a stab at that one. So we're not going to push any landowners off of their property. We work with willing sellers, and if IBM were to choose to sell their property, we would entertain a conservation purchase. But you know, there's no reason that they would need to leave because the connectivity can be established without needing to move that facility.
Okay. We'll start the rumor anyway. Okay, we'll open it up to the public. Do we have any?
I do not have any requests to speak.
Okay, well, we'll close the public hearing then. Any other comments? I feel like we're drinking out of a fire hose here. That was a lot of great information, so thank you on that.
Thank you for the opportunity to present again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
And if I could just squeeze in before the next presentation, we have a new person that has joined the county. We just want to do a quick introduction.
Thank you. My name, I'm Jacqueline Anciano, Director of Planning and Development. I'm pleased to announce that we have an interim Deputy Director. Her name is Anastasia Aziz, who has joined us, and I'd like to give Anastasia an opportunity to just address the Planning Commission.
The Planning Commission. My name's Anastasia Aziz. I'm very pleased to be here. I recognize a commissioner from my time at the City of San Jose. So I've been doing planning in California for over 20 years now. Started my career with the city for over a decade, and then moved down to the City of Pacific Grove, where I was doing planning there, and culminated my time there as the director. I've been more recently working as a consultant on primarily housing issues and housing elements, and also local coastal programs and coastal erosion and climate change. But I'm very pleased to be back in Santa Clara County in the South Bay, and to bring my skill set to the citizens and the commissioners and the Board of Supervisors here in the county. So thank you very much. I look forward very much to working with you.
Well, great to have you, and you will not be bored.
No, good.
Okay, item 6, receive report from Santa Clara Valley Water District relating to the Water Supply Master Plan 2050. For full disclosure, I am on an independent monitoring committee at the Water District, but my comments here do not relate to that position at all.
I guess I can do the same, right? I'm on an independent committee with the Water District too, and I recognize all our folks that are going to be presenting here today. So I'm on the EWRC, which is Environmental Water and Resources Committee with the Water District. I'm currently the chair.
Well, I'm currently vice chair.
Yeah.
It's up here. I think you're on. Where? It's right up here. Mic on, mic on.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. And yeah, we do recognize several of you as well, and you actually provided input into what we're presenting today. My name is Kirsten Struve. I'm the Assistant Officer for Valley Water's Water Supply Division. And we're happy to be here to give you an overview of our Water Supply Master Plan 2050, which was adopted by our board in November after 3 years of effort. And this plan is our guiding document for future investment to secure our long-term water supply, and is typically updated every 5 years. And with me today are the Chief of Water Utility, Aaron Baker, Senior Water Resources Specialist Jing Wu, and Genevieve Yip from our Office of Government Relations. Just in case, we'll give a quick overview of what Valley Water does. We are the wholesale water provider and groundwater management agency for the county. We also provide flood protection and environmental stewardship, so we're basically the water resource agency for the county. Yeah, that's what we do. In terms of the water supply system, we fulfill our mission through managing a very complex and interconnected system that you can see here. We have 10 reservoirs, 3 water treatment plants, 1 water purification center, a water quality lab, more than 100 miles of pipelines, and nearly 300 miles of streams and 102 recharge ponds. Valley Water System is designed to handle our diverse sources of water supply, including the local surface water, groundwater, imported water, and recycled water. And currently, 30% of Santa Clara County's water supply comes from local sources, such as local rain captured in our reservoirs and groundwater. And 50% of our water supply is imported from outside the county, which does include another wholesaler, the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission, as well as our own imported water contracts. 15% of water comes from conserving water, which helps reduce countywide water demand and our reliance on imported water, and then we have 5% through water reuse. Just to explain a little more about what imported water is, we are actually unique. We have contracts with both the state water project and the federal Central Valley project to bring in water into the county. And actual amount of water delivered is typically less than our contractual amounts because it depends on hydrology and conveyance limitations and environmental regulations. So why are we doing long-range planning? We're facing an uncertain future with climate change and changing demand. Our infrastructure is aging, and our information available for decision-making, including what climate change impacts to expect, is incomplete and imperfect. But at the same time, we're in an era of opportunities for investment in water infrastructure and have to make immediate decisions on participating in some of these projects. And so the Water Supply Master Plan will help Valley Water's board make decisions in the face of an uncertain future. And with this plan update, we looked at 4 future conditions based on high and low bookends for projected water demand and imported water supply. And this results in an adaptive management approach that will prepare us for all these possible futures, and I'll go into more detail on both the demand and the supply. So we use 2 demand projections for developing our future conditions. These are based on ABAG household numbers, climate change, and post-drought rebound. And both demands assume that we achieve our long-term conservation goals, which I'll also discuss a little later. And these demands are well within the realm of our historic water use, as you can see on the left of the slide. And what you can also see is that demands have gone down even with population increasing. And so these future demand projections are largely driven by climate change rather than an increasing population. We do get a lot of questions about this, so we can talk more about that later. If you have any questions. And then in terms of imported water supply, we used a moderately impacted imports and severely impacted imports from the Department of Water Resources modeling. And both of these scenarios assume existing conditions with climate change. And together with the 2 demand forecasts, they formed the 4 proposed future conditions that we looked at to develop this plan. So what we did first is we looked at the baseline conditions. This includes achieving our long-term conservation goals and no new investment except for completing our dam seismic retrofits and maintaining our assets. So this shows what would happen in a drought in 2050 without any investment. Our existing system is very flexible and reliable in meeting demands in most years, but droughts are a challenge for us. And so if we rely only on our existing supplies and infrastructure, we will experience shortage under all 4 futures. We're showing in the hatched mark our semi-tropic groundwater storage bank, which is located near Bakersfield. And that contract is running out in 2035, which is why we're showing it separately, so that you can see that even in the best case scenario, which is the upper left corner, if we're not successful in renewing our contract, we will have shortage in that one as well. And so these shortages are large. and primarily driven by the reduced imported supply rather than demand. And they already include our long-term conservation goals as well as drought calls when a drought happens. So this is basically we've lowered how much water is needed during a drought by doing those drought calls, and we still have shortage, which is why we have to invest to secure our future. To address the shortages, we evaluated a variety of projects, including alternative water supplies, such as potable reuse, which is drought resilient and locally controlled, local and imported surface supply projects to increase reliability and resilience, storage projects that will help us capture excess water supply in wet years to be used during drought years, and then also recharge projects to improve local supply in South County, which is reliant on groundwater entirely. In addition to those projects, our board developed water conservation potable reuse goals. The board adopted 126,000 acre-feet per year as the 2050 water conservation goal, which is considered ambitious, but implementable. And just for context, we use acre-feet per year. That's basically how much covering 1 acre with 1 foot of water, and it's typically enough to supply 3 families of 3 to 4 people for 1 year. And then for potable water reuse, the goal is 24,000 acre-feet per year of potable reuse by 2035, with a long-term vision to maximize reuse up to 32,000 acre-feet in the county by 2050. And this is to promote a phased approach that accounts for uncertainty with future demand and wastewater availability, because wastewater availability is going down with conservation, and then at the same time balancing affordability and risk of overinvestment because potable reuse projects are very expensive. We developed 3 strategies for our board to consider: a lower cost, a local control, and a diversified strategy. These are all, they all help us, end the shortage that we showed in an earlier slide. They just focus on different things. So lower cost focuses on affordability and minimizing costs. And this provides drought-resilient supply through potable reuse, diversifies existing storage, and secures existing imported supply through the Delta Conveyance Project. However, it has high risks because all 4 major projects require partnerships and institutional agreements to be successful. The local control focuses on projects within Santa Clara County, and this one has the highest cost because it has the 2 most expensive projects. And then diversified focuses on diversifying the existing system with a mix of local and imported supplies. This one has similar benefits to the other 2 strategies, but it builds in more resiliency and redundancy to help reduce risk and uncertainty, including the risk of any one of these investments not performing up to expectations or not happening. But it has a relatively high cost and more institutional complexity because it's more projects. So we recommended the lower cost to our board, and that's what they adopted. So focusing on the lower cost and then having an adaptive management approach is what we recommended. So that would then also make incremental investment decisions through this adaptive management approach. We would maintain our existing infrastructure, which is assumed in the baseline, and we would do annual reporting to let our board know how things are going and report on various triggers and project progress. Throughout the development of the Water Supply Master Plan over 3 years, we had a lot of stakeholder engagement, so I know some of the commissioners have heard about this several times. We went to our committees, we went to our retailers, environmental stakeholders and other stakeholders, and we also had an expert panel that reviewed our proposed plan and provided us some guidance. And then our next step is we will bring our first annual update to our board this fall to track master plan implementation as part of the adaptive management approach. And with that, we're open for any questions.
All right, thank you. I had a couple of quick questions. On the strategy, the low cost was 3.9 billion, and the moderate one was 4 million, and it looked like the one difference was the Sites Reservoir?
That's
So-
correct.
So does that just mean 100 million would go to that, or is it more complicated than that? Because it seemed like just the .1 was pretty close.
Well, it also has lower groundwater banking, so I'll go back to that.
Okay, so it's not as simplified as just the like graphics suggest.
It's really like the total project costs and what goes into them. So, yeah, sites is a difference, and then the level of groundwater banking.
Okay. And the groundwater bank, though, that's still not in our area, that's,
Yes, this
Down-
is an
oh,
out-of-county
that's in our-
groundwater bank.
okay.
It hasn't yet been defined, but what we used for purposes of modeling is our current groundwater bank. We're just treating it as a project because, like I said, the contract is going to run out.
right. And what's your best guess on desalinization? Does that look, obviously, there's a price point because other countries are doing it. Does that look like that's something that eventually will be feasible, or is that something that just in this area, it may not work?
We are actually doing a feasibility study right now that we're hoping to complete this year. There are definitely challenges with desalination, given that we are in the very sensitive South Bay and don't have an ocean outfall. So when we take in water and then have to discharge brine, that's challenging environmentally. But we are doing the feasibility study to better understand how it compares to potable reuse. And we're working with our environmental stakeholders as well, so that we're bringing them along to understand what we're doing with the study.
Okay. And that's later this year, you think that'll be done then?
Yes,
Okay.
we hope to go to our Recycled Water Committee in May and then finalize the report later in the year.
All right. Any other commissioners want to comment? And after this, we'll open it up to the public. Commissioner Levy?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation, very good. I've seen a bunch of it before already, but, and as I think as our chair said, it's like drinking through a fire hose. There's so much information here. Pun intended. So a question about climate change and the impact on our future water picture. Are we going to see reductions in our groundwater ability to do groundwater recharge because there's potentially less precipitation, or it's hotter and things dry out faster? Are we going to be seeing an impact there?
Yes, so what we actually downscaled the climate change models to our county, and we incorporated them in our analysis. And so we will see, more variability. It's possible that there will be just enough, as much rain, but, if you don't have enough storage, then you're not going to be able to store it. But Jing knows more about that than I do, so I'm going to pass that question to her.
Okay.
Yes. So, good evening, Commission. Yes, I think in terms of climate change will impact both demand and supply.
Right.
For the groundwater, I think groundwater, we have a natural groundwater recharge every year, so that from the surface, right, that goes to the ground. So I think it will be some impact on the groundwater from the future climate change.
Okay. Because I'm not sure if my memory serves me correctly, but it seems that in past presentations, the percentage of groundwater was higher, more pushing closer to 50% than 35%, and it seems like it's dropped lower on this, and maybe.
No, it's always been this. We do actively manage the groundwater with imported water, so that 30% local water is just the local water. But a lot of the imported water goes to groundwater management
okay, maybe
as
that's the
well.
difference.
So maybe that's what you saw.
Okay. When you're looking at your conservation measures, does the extension of purple pipe included within those conservation measures, so that we're using recycled water rather than fresh water for purposes that can use purple pipe?
So that's a more complicated question.
Yes,
so
it
so
is.
basically, Valley Water doesn't handle recycled water except for in South County, where we are the wholesaler. In all the other areas, we have supported the local agencies that run the wastewater treatment plants with the Purple Pipe network, but they are the ones expanding it. So in the water supply master plan, we do have a moderate increase planned in for non-potable expansion, but really all the low-hanging fruit, you have to build a new pipe network to bring recycled water in, so it may or may not be worth it.
Right.
Depending on where it's located and whether you have to pump up a hill. And then the other problem with that is the more that expands, especially in the area where we're planning a potable reuse project, then the less is available for potable reuse. So it's all a balance, right? So wastewater is going down because of water conservation. We need some for potable reuse, but we did plan for some expansion of the Purple Pipe and the non-potable network.
Well, we're still putting way too much wastewater into the bay, so there's still there's a lot of room for using that water. But could that Purple Pipe be used for groundwater recharge? Is that a consideration?
Not for us. We have a policy from our board to only use purified water for groundwater recharge to protect the quality of our groundwater. So, no.
Okay.
We're not allowing use of non-potable water over the
All
unconfined.
right. One more climate-related question, and that is with climate change, we're seeing a sea level rise. They're now predicting 6.6 feet. By 2021, although all the models lately have been wrong, they've been too low. They could be very much higher than that. Are we going to see any problem with saltwater intrusion into our aquifers?
It's possible, but as part of the desalination study, we've actually looked at, a subsurface intake, and the groundwater under the bay and the groundwater that we drink are not well connected. And so it's not terribly likely.
So there's not really much of a risk of saltwater intrusion into our reservoir, into our
Go ahead.
groundwater reservoirs.
Right, as long as we maintain the groundwater. We've been analyzing it, and actually we have a whole groundwater unit kind of looking at the subsurface geology and other things there. As long as we can continue to recharge like we do and continue our groundwater levels where we are, we do, even with the increased pressure that we'll have from salt water, we still feel like we're going to be okay into that brackish area. The part that we want to make sure we can do is continue to recharge like we are so that we're keeping that buffer there. But we do know that there will be increased pressure with the sea level rise, but we're prepared for it.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll open up to the public.
We do not have requests to speak.
All right.
To the chair, if you wouldn't mind, I think I'd be remiss in front of the Planning Commission. Valley Water is, of course, not a land use agency, and so we definitely, as we look forward and we understand, as we're dealing with climate change and understanding our reliance on imported water, the projects that we need to handle through a drought, we definitely want to make sure that you all keep in mind water efficient development and protecting the groundwater quality that we have right now. And I know you all are doing a great job at that, but we just want to make sure that we're continuing our partnerships to understand that we continue with water efficient development, especially in the CII area, and that we also make sure that we're protecting our groundwater quality, as in many parts of the unincorporated area, that's their only source of supply. And so we appreciate your stewardship on those areas, and we appreciate all the partnership we have moving forward.
All right, thank
Chair,
you.
can I ask one more question? And that is...
Oh, I'm going to close the public
thank
hearing
you.
part, and now we can open it up to Commissioner Levy.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. A question about the semi-tropic. We know that's coming up for renewal in 2035. And is that how confident are we going to get it? And are we going to get the same contract? Are we going to get half as much in the future, 10% as much? And do we have alternative groundwater banks available to accommodate for the risk of not having semi-tropic?
all excellent questions. And so we were actually, or I was actually down meeting with Semi-Tropic last week. So we are in active negotiations to figure out what things would look like into the future. Unfortunately, Semi-Tropic is dealing with some water quality issues, some arsenic, some TCP. So the deal, the contract or the agreement that I am confident that we will come to an agreement, but it won't probably have the same capacities, and it'll be a little bit more expensive because there will be some water treatment and some other things that are happening because there's increased, I mean, it's good, but there's regulations have increased on where things are going. Not only that, but in the Kernick or in the Bakersfield area and all those other things, they're trying to make sure that they have sustainable groundwater levels there. And so the capacities of these banks and the leave-behinds are going to be a little bit different than the contract we currently have. That being said, I'm confident that we'll be able to continue to get a groundwater bank in the future. It will just have different terms than what we've had in the past and be more expensive than we had in the past as we balance those water quality issues, the groundwater levels issues we have there, and some of the other things that we're dealing with.
All right, thanks, Darren. I understand that they're having some subsidence problems, over pumping in the South San Joaquin Valley, as well as massive amounts of pesticides and fertilizers and so forth. So is that groundwater reservoir, groundwater bank at risk at all from subsidence and from, like you were saying, potential toxins?
There's particularly for Semi-Tropic and the Semi-Tropic Groundwater Sustainability Agency and all those other things, they have a plan so that they can be sustainable and they have plans to meet their goals and other things. As you get farther away and some of their other neighbors, not necessarily in the Kern area or some of those other areas, are still having difficulties, not where we're currently anticipating a groundwater bank or negotiating, but there are other places in the San Joaquin Valley where they still have issues. They're still tackling those issues and working through SGMA to try to find sustainable groundwater levels. But we're not, that's not necessarily the ones that we're negotiating with right now.
Great, thank you.
Just out of curiosity, the Colorado River, they're all fighting over that. Is there any fallout that could happen where LA needs to find water elsewhere and they, being the 500-pound gorilla, start to take water that normally would go to Northern California?
Yes, and actually it's probably not, I mean, yes, it's Met, yes, it's all these others. One of the biggest things that we're trying to tackle is that in these multi-year droughts, the import of water is less for everybody, whether it's in the Colorado River, whether it's in the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta, whether it's in the Hetch Hetchy system. And so as water becomes more scarce, there will be more competition in drier times. And that is one of the reasons why, well, that is primarily some of these reasons we've been working at, like pure water, a drought-resilient, locally controlled source that we're looking at. So the answer to your question is yes. In future droughts, there will be less water and there will be more competition for that water.
Got it. Okay, that's all the questions I'm seeing. And so, again, thanks for coming out and giving us that great information, and everyone can serve.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Okay, number 7, receive the report from the chairperson. I'll just say we had a great SIMPAC meeting yesterday, and they had, I think, Roads and Airports came out and gave a presentation on some of the studying they're doing for their transportation element that's coming up, and then they worked on their work plan and approved their goals for the next work plan. That was that. Number 8, receive reports from commissioners. Do any commissioners have a report? Seeing none. Receive report from county council.
I don't have anything to report, thank you.
How's your basketball bracket doing? You got nothing to report? You're okay. Number 10, receive report from Planning Commission Secretary, Department of Planning and Development.
Thank you. Jacqueline Anciano, Director of Planning and Development. I announced our interim deputy director, and that's our highlight right now. We are working through the the SB 330 applications. We are standing up our People-Centered Services program and platform. Please take a look at our website. We're very excited about these changes. We're trying to be more transparent, predictable, working with the public, making our information clearer and accessible to the public. And so we're making some changes in the planning department that we're very excited about.
Yep, you got to get those in by April, what, 24th?
Get what in, the changes?
All the ADA Title II changes to the public-facing website.
We are working diligently to meet that standard.
Yes.
Okay, announcements and correspondence, 2 vacancies. You can go on the internet and apply. County provides reimbursement. And I don't think we had any correspondence that we received. So
There was one.
Oh,
attached
was
to
there
the
one?
agenda.
We did receive it then. Okay, we will adjourn. The next meeting is Thursday, April 23rd, 2026 at 6 p.m. in this building. Thank you. Adjourned.